Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this Frequency Mama Community Knowledge Share. I'm Robin. Just in case some of you have not met me here or on the recording, I'm a co-founder of the Frequency Mama community, and I'm so grateful that you are all here with us live today or watching the recording. These knowledge shares are these knowledge shares are open to the public and intended to give you a glimpse into the expansive wisdom held within our amazing community. These calls are also a gift for you to receive this knowledge and wisdom from all kinds of amazing practitioners, teachers, and guides within our community who want to share their knowledge and light with you. During today's knowledge share, we will be experiencing meta creation with Tamara Dorris. Immerse yourself using your most creative assets, your imagination and emotions, as we walk through the advanced steps of manifestation via conscious creation. So today we are led by Tamara. Tamara is the author of 22 books that all focus on conscious creation and the science of intention, including energy medicine and sound healing. She's a longtime adjunct professor, coach, speaker, and consultant. And she holds degrees in psychology and communication, as well as being a certified hypnotherapist. Welcome, Tamara. We are so grateful to receive from you today.
Thank you, Robin. It's so nice to be here. I'm so grateful to be here. So is this the same group that we're doing our Harmony Circle for next week? Okay, yes, so we'll actually experience meta creation next week. Today we're working up to it. Okay, so are we ready? Can I just go ahead and start? All right. So I do have a slideshow, but I want to introduce myself first so that you can see me. I hate hiding behind PowerPoints, but I have also found, after being a college professor for, 20 years, that it's easier to learn if we have a little bit of visual. So that's why I like to use PowerPoints for certain things. So Robin, that was a great introduction. I love her energy, love what she does with this group. So wonderful. I'm going to take you through some of the things you probably have heard many times about manifestation, but I have a little bit different of a twist on it. And it's because I spent so many years, I started in the metaphysical world like 25 years ago. And then as I became indoctrinated with education and academics and corporates and all that stuff, I walked away from that and I really got into the science of manifestation. And what I learned is that the metaphysics of manifestation had it right all along, right? It was way past, metaphysics is way past what science has proven. So I kind of went backwards and said, okay, well, if metaphysics and spirituality has all this stuff going on, science has kind of stopped. And it doesn't have the capacity that we know from metaphysics. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull up my slideshow. So I'm going to do a screen share here. And I'm going to bring up some slides and we are going to talk about, if I can get this off, we are going to talk about some of the most important steps. Can you give me a thumbs up, Robin, if you see my screen? Okay, great. So conscious creation. I always say what my role is an alignment coach. And I say that because saying you're a manifestation coach is like, what does that really mean? And we're going to go over the steps of manifestation, but what I really want to point out is that manifestation is not hard. We are manifesting machines. Our lives are evidence of our manifestations. So we are manifesting all the time. The challenge or the problems with manifestation that people have isn't about knowing how to do it. I mean, you can get it, you can read the book, The Secret, and get the gist of it. The problem is that we fall out of alignment. And so that's why I call myself an alignment coach, because my job is to help people stay in alignment. And I will tell you as we go through the two main reasons that people fall out of alignment. And if you can nail those, if you can fix those things and you can watchdog them, then manifestation is a breeze. So I'm going to go into a little more detail, and I will try to keep it as interesting as I can. But I want you to know that if you haven't, I know that we have like a small group right here so far, but feel free to put your hand up, and Robin can let me know if someone has their hand up. If you have a question from where I'm at, you can just feel free to stop me, because I want you to be able to have that interactivity with me. I want to start though by saying that probably the most challenging part of manifestation is that we are operating with our ego mind in the 3D. And while we're in this 3D experience, we feel that we are separated. We're separate from everything else. And so the biggest obstacle that people have is thinking that things are happening out there to them instead of through them. And so I use what I call my mirror theory. And that tells us that everything that we see, everything that we look at is somehow a reflection of ourselves. And I know for people, you know, in this group, I'm assuming because you all work with Robin, that we're a more open-minded group, a little more esoteric. But a lot of people get angry. You know, people have gotten mad at me. I've done keynote speeches before, and I've had people kind of scoff at me when I say, you know, everything in your life is a reflection of your inner world. Everything outside of you is a reflection. People are like, no, I didn't want for that to happen. You're missing the point, right? Everything in this universe, everything operates on universal principles. There's no mistake. Albert Einstein once said, God didn't, you know, shoot dice with the universe. There's no mistakes. Everything is in perfect order. Now, we don't have time today to talk about what about when bad things happen to good people. And it's not my expertise to discuss things like reincarnation, but I 100% believe that we all come to this planet with soul agreements. And so there are things that in our small-mindedness, in our ego mind dealing with the 3D, that happen that are just beyond our comprehension. And it's really easy to say, why did that happen to me? Or she was such a good person. Why did that happen to her? And we have to understand that there are just certain things that are beyond our level of understanding at this point. But I believe, this is just me, I believe that we have these soul agreements before we come to this planet. It's like, okay, I'm going to be your mom this time, and I'm going to be the brother, and I'm going to be the drunk driver that does this. You know, we have these soul agreements, and right now I don't think they always make sense to us, but I do believe down to deep in my bones that everything that happens for a reason. Now, that aside, when we're talking about unexplainable things and tragedies, that's an aside. What we're focusing on is the everyday things that go wrong, that we think like, why did that happen? Like, how come I got this late bill? But energetically, there is a connection. Maybe it has to do with you worrying about bills. Maybe it has to do with someone, you know, with you paying something else late before. There's always an interaction with energy. Energy is the first law of the universe, in fact, is vibration. Everything is always moving. Nothing is ever stagnant. You know, people think that, for example, if you go to a funeral and there's a body in the coffin, people are like, well, that is definitely a dead body. But it's not. It's energy moving. And that's why in 10 years, it would be dust, right? Or however long it takes. The point is that energy is always, always moving. Okay, so that's a really important concept. Now, what do I mean with the mirror theory? Well, I mean, when we look outside and we see something we don't like, we immediately want to fix it or say, I don't like that. But what about if we look at everything in our external world as a mirror to our internal world? I have clients come to me every week and they'll be like, Tamara, my husband's doing this and he's driving me crazy. And I'm like, hold on, let's take your husband out of the equation. Tamara, I don't have enough money in my bank account. What do I do? Hold on, let's take money out of the equation. What we have to realize is that the universe, however you want to look at it, the universe, God, your guides, however you want to look at it, is constantly letting you know the parts of your life, the parts of your energy field that still have some work to be done. But being human in our 3D ego mind, instead, what we do is we try to fix things with force, right? I work with a lot of people in sales and they're like, okay, I don't have sales. Let me go. Let me do hard stuff. Let me knock on doors or make phone calls. They have to start with the energy inside, right? That's the whole thing right there. And it seems so easy and so counterintuitive. I work with a lot of real estate agents, and when they're really struggling with finances, I send them on vacation. I'm like, even if you only feel comfortable going, for a weekend away, go on vacation. Sure enough, 9 out of 10 times they come back and they have like 3 deals waiting for them. It's because we get so attached to the outcome. And so, Robin mentioned meta-creation, which we're going to do in the Harmony Circle next week. But, this is all working up to it, so I can explain how and why it works. And the one really good reason is because we have to step away from our 3D reality, from our ego mind, our busy beta brainwaves. We have to step away from that in order to create in the quantum field. In order to consciously create, we have to close off our consciousness. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. The mirror theory, though, what I want you to know for now is start questioning when things happen in your life, when you run into someone that you don't like. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself what in that person is triggering you. If it's someone who talks a lot and you feel triggered by that, is it because you're not talking enough, or because you yourself talk too much, right? So whenever we see something and we are having a reaction to it, it's not that thing that we're reacting to. It's a part of ourselves that is reflecting back to us. Does that make sense? So we're constantly living in a day-to-day world where we're bumping into ourselves in different versions, in different bodies, in different situations and scenarios. But we are literally walking around running into parts of ourselves. A lot of the time, I'd say all of the time, that those interactions cause a reaction in you. It's a part of yourself that needs to be healed. I always say, when you feel a reaction, don't get upset. Consider it a little nudge from the universe saying, oh, goody, let's work on this. Here's something we get to fix. Here's something we get to cleanse out or release or heal or forgive. And you notice, as human beings, we don't want to do that all the time. We would rather ignore it or stay distracted on our news feed, or, hopefully not do self-sabotaging behavior, drinking, spending money, whatever it might be. But the reason that people do things like that, in my experience, and I've been doing hypnotherapy 25 years now, and I've worked with a lot of addicts. The reason that people, I think, fall prey to addiction is because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the healing and forgiving. And I know that in this group and in Robin's circle, that's what we're here for. We want to grow. We want to evolve, right? So understanding the whole mirror theory is, to me, step one. Recognizing that everything we see out there is kind of a reflection of us. Okay, now I want to talk about brainwaves. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to give you a once over because it has everything to do with manifestation. Why is that? Because remember, when we're not manifesting, it's because we're not in alignment. So just for the sake of argument, alignment means you are an energetic match to what you want to create. That's what alignment means. And you can say like, oh, I'm not really in alignment with that person, or I'm really in alignment with her program. That's great. But when I talk about alignment and alignment coaching, what I'm talking about is, are you being an energetic match to whatever you desire? And what constitutes an energetic match? Well, it means that you're thinking and speaking and feeling at the same level of the desire that you want to achieve. Now, when I say thinking, and we're going to get into this in a few minutes, you may think you're thinking wonderful thoughts all the time, but we all know that unconsciously we have these conditioned programs. So we're going to talk about that. But for right now, let me just assure you that you will know if your unconscious programs are interrupting you, because you will not feel joyful and happy. When you're an energetic match to the things that you want, you feel joy. And when you're really, really good at it, then at the top on this side here, you see gamma. And gamma is a relatively new brainwave. I think it was only discovered in the last maybe 15 years, only recently in mainstream media has it been talked about. But gamma is the expanded consciousness brainwave. At first, scientists thought it was like when someone was maybe schizophrenic or just really, really super, manic, for example. But further research proved that it would be the brainwave that would be present with meditators of long time, with monks, people in ashrams. So really ecstatic, enlightened people. So the gamma brainwave is super fascinating. I don't think most of us reach it. I think, I've had seconds of it here and there, but I think it's a really grand, let's get enlightened and ascend type of deal. But for right now, we're going to focus on beta, alpha, and theta. Okay, and I will just say one little love note to delta. Delta is when you're deep asleep. It's when you're in your REM brainwaves. You have to have delta. If you like my daughter who just had a baby and who's having another one before too long, she's up nursing and oh my gosh, and she does not get enough delta. And so I try to get her to do things that will help her get those delta brainwaves. And for those of you who have kids, delta brainwaves are really, really important because that's when your body's rejuvenating and reinventing itself and everything it needs to be done. But for the sake of argument, we're going to talk about beta, alpha, and theta. Okay. Beta is what you're listening, hopefully, what you're listening to, what you have a conversation with when you're doing your work, you're on your computer. That's beta. Beta is good. We need it. Beta is very much connected to our ego mind. We need our ego mind. Our ego mind is what helps us be safe and secure and, take care of our family and do the things we need to do. However, when we get super stressed out, we go into high beta. High beta is no bueno. We don't want high beta. High beta is fight or flight. I shouldn't say never. If a bear is chasing you, high beta is good. Because what happens when we are in that stress situation is our brains begin to release cortisol and adrenaline. If we're chased by a bear, we want our bodies to do that because we want to be able to run or to fight, right? Hopefully don't fight a bear, not saying that. But when we're in beta, high beta, and we're not running from anyone or fighting anyone, what happens to all that cortisol and adrenaline and about 14 other chemicals, bad, not good for us, organ destroying chemicals. So when we're in fight or flight, all that chemical contamination is going in our bodies and we're not being very effective. I mentioned I work with people in sales. So if you're a salesperson and you get really stressed out, like say you're going to lose a big deal, and all of a sudden you have all this cortisol in your body, what happens when you're in fight or flight? Automatically, 80% of your prefrontal cortex begins to shrink. Your prefrontal cortex is how you think. That's your reasoning, your creativity. You will not have it if you're in high beta. So you're not going to solve any problems. Right. So being stressed out, this is kind of what I'm aiming at here is to help you understand being in a high stress mode. All we do is mismanifest. We cannot create what we want to create in a high beta brainwave. Okay. The next one is alpha. Alpha is when we're relaxed, maybe right after you do a yoga class or you go for a run and you're just, sometimes when we're watching TV, if we kind of trance out, that's alpha 2. That's not the one I'm advocating though, but anything that's like semi-meditative. And what happens with our brain waves then, as you can see on the picture here, they go longer and slower. I always consider beta is like, the Himalayas, and then alpha is like the rolling hills of Ireland, right? Theta is where we are in a real flow state and it's dreamlike. In fact, your first 7 years of your life, and for our babies too, the first 7 years of their life, they are in a really strong beta. And that is why all the trauma, not all the trauma, but much of the trauma that we experience as little kids occurs in the theta brainwave. And that's because we don't really see that we're separate from our caretakers. when we're little, we are operating at this theta brainwave. And what our brain is doing is it's looking all around at our world, looking for meaning. And so something as simple as your mom saying, oh, be good like your sister. Something really simple that I'm sure many of us have heard, simple statements like that. We make meaning out of it. And so the meaning could be, oh, why aren't I like my sister? That means I'm not good. And when we're in that theta brainwave, we can take that meaning and we can internalize it. And then neural networks start to go together. And all of a sudden, we get older and it keeps repeating and repeating. And now we have this story, this belief, I'm not good enough. See, this is where this comes from. As a hypnotist, theta was the goal. You always want to get your clients in the theta level because at that reduced brainwave level, we can operate directly with the subconscious mind. We can talk to the subconscious mind. This is why people go to hypnosis to stop smoking or lose weight or whatever it is because 99% of the time, the reason that they smoke in the first place or drink too much or whatever it is because of some sort of subconscious belief that their conscious mind can't control. They don't, they're like, I don't want to eat. I don't know why I'm always at my refrigerator at 9 o'clock with Ben and Jerry's. I don't mean to do that. But there's an unconscious commitment telling this person, you need to do that. Maybe it's to protect yourself. A lot of people, we use weight to protect ourselves. Maybe it's something that someone said to you. Anyway, we're not going to worry too much about childhood programming here. I just want you to make sure, I want to make sure you get the beta, alpha, and theta. Okay. So when we're in high beta, I call it survival mode. It's when we are so erratic in our brain waves, but I want you to notice too that that's your heart rate. So your brain waves are like this. So is your heart rate. Now think about that. This is why historically we know that people who have to go back to work on Mondays who hate their jobs, that's when the most heart attacks happen in the United States. I don't know about other countries, but I know for a fact in the United States, people who hate their jobs, if they're going to have a heart attack, it's going to be on a Monday morning or a full moon. So whatever that means, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, just for the sake of argument, just understand survival mode is not a great mode to be in. And I will tell you, and I don't know everyone in this group, obviously. I barely know Robin, but I love what she does, and that's why I'm here. But I know by frequency mamas, I'm even assuming that there are some mommies in here. And I remember myself raising 4 children, and now I have grandchildren. But we can spend just being female and being the nurturers and wanting to have careers. We can be in survival mode a lot. And so I've been coaching women for, 18 years now. And I have not ever come across a woman who wasn't experiencing serious stress. The more successful, the more stress. It's just like this thing. So one of my main goals in all the books that I write and coaching I do is to try to help people understand that manifestation is easy. Managing your stress isn't. And it's the most important thing because you can't manifest if you can't manage your stress. Okay, I promise we're going to talk a little bit more about unconscious and subconscious beliefs. And just for the record, I use unconscious and subconscious synonymously. Some experts do not. I don't think it's that huge of a deal. What we need to remember is both mean they're below the level of consciousness. If you want to get really technical, you could say unconscious. Your unconscious brain is what operates your hearts and your lungs and your blood and all of that thing. Your automatic nervous system. Your subconscious, however, your subconscious is where your memories are stored. Okay, now this is important. A lot of people don't realize this, but your subconscious mind is your body. Your subconscious mind is your body. And what I mean by that is most of us are living in our brains all the time. We're walking around in our heads. It's why we have to get back in our bodies, right? So like I said, when something outside of you bothers you, we try to bury it. We try to compartmentalize it and not think about it. but it's got to go through your body. You got to feel it to heal it, which will lead me to my opinion on Healy pretty soon, because that's a game changer in my opinion. Okay, so you've got 5% of your brain, this prefrontal cortex up here, your conscious thinking, and then 95% of it is below the level of consciousness. Now, you see on this slide, 65 to 75,000 thoughts a day. You don't know that you're thinking that, right? 95% of them are estimated to be negative and survival focused. Just think about that. We think, okay, I'm just going to say affirmations every day. I am abundant. I am healthy. I am loved. And think that's going to change that 95%. It's really like David and Goliath, right? It's like this 5%, this little wimpy small percent is saying, I want success. But this 95% is saying, who do you think you are? You don't deserve success. Who's going to win, right? The beautiful thing is with the advent of technology and with science and just, these kinds of teachings, we can begin to realize that we can access that 95% beast and get it on our side. That's what the name of the game is. We want to get that unconscious energy conscious. So we have to start by becoming conscious of the unconscious. And how do we do that? And that's the part that people don't really like, because it's all about being present and aware.
Do you think that, sorry.
Go ahead.
To interrupt. Do you think that those 95% of the unconscious thoughts that are mostly in this negative survival mode, do you think that's just because the world we live in right now, like that human set point is that we're not supposed to be in that space 95% of the time, but the world we live in has us there?
So I think that is a great question, Robin. And I don't know if I can give you an unequivocal yes or no, but my opinion would be that the 95% was determined in our first 7 years of life. So if we grew up in our theta brainwaves, if we grew up feeling that the world was a safe place, those are the people that right now, with all the stress going on, who are thriving. There are people that are totally thriving right now, but the majority of people grow up with, it's not safe, this isn't okay. And so that just, it multiplies and amplifies. And then I think when we're older, the traumas and the wounds and the injuries and emotions that we experience can add on to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the external world, like, for example, the times that we live in now and like during the pandemic and all of that, I think that wherever your base, as you said, your set point is, that will either make you or break you, right? Or it could lead to one way or the other. Like when all the pandemic was happening, I was thriving. I was like, I love the downtime. I'm going to write another book. I did Zoom for my clients and I was thriving, but I saw people who were just like, beside themselves. And, and of course, I'm very compassionate, but I'm just saying it just depends. But you got to remember, I've spent 25 years reprogramming my brain, right? But a lot of people are not used to it. And people, the suicides were up. It's been a very chaotic time in our world. My opinion of that is that it gives us light workers and healers more motivation and encouragement and reason to keep spreading the light, because people need us, right? People need us. Okay, so with those unconscious thoughts going on, we have to be aware. And I remember right before we were talking about something else, but right before Robin's question, what I was going to say is I remember maybe 15 years ago, I think is when Eckhart Tolle wrote The Power of Now. And I remember I bought it. I saw him on Oprah and I bought it. And I'm like, I cannot read a whole book about the power of now. What is he even talking about, right? It was so funny because I didn't get it. And it was like several years later when I got it. It's about recognizing in this very moment, everything is fine. And if it's not, that means that we're either worrying about the future, planning, thinking, or regretting the past, or allowing those subconscious thoughts to bubble up and we don't even know what they are. So your best gauge, and I'm going to show you an emotional gauge here in a moment, but the best way for you to determine what your unconscious thinking is to check in with yourself every day, every hour. How am I feeling right now? Physically, how am I feeling? Because your body is your subconscious mind. And remember, your subconscious mind is just your collection of experiences and memories, of emotions. That's what your subconscious mind is. Let's see, I think I have this little, yeah, here it is right here for us. Okay, now I'm a big proponent of Dr. David R. Hawkins, who is no longer with us, but he did, thousands and thousands of studies on calibrating the level of consciousness. And he had this scale. This isn't that, but he had this scale from high consciousness to low consciousness. And to Robin's point, he actually said that the world, anyone that's below 250 on his numerical scale, is contributing to the chaos in the world, the energy. But one person, and I think he used Jesus as an example, or another avatar, one person who's at 1,000 has the power to change so many people, thousands of people. I want you to think about this now. If your level of consciousness was so high up, even if it's like 700, for example, you don't have to just be teaching and talking to those people. You can just drive past them on the freeway. That's how energy works. You do not have to be like, oh, let me call you and give you some of my energy. Doesn't have to be like that. Just by being you, you're changing all the energy around you, even if you don't open your mouth. And that is a really, really powerful thing to understand. And so many, I don't hear people talking about that, but you do hear people say, be the light. That's what this means, in my opinion. Our biggest job on this planet is to heal ourselves. Now I'll give you an example using Healy. I have Healy Professional and Healy Gold. I don't have my gold on me right now, but oftentimes I do, especially when I'm coaching, because I have to be at my highest level of alignment to help my clients. So I have to be at my highest level so that I can help others. And I also, when I'm not with clients, because I don't use my professional every day on my clients, it just depends, different clients for different things. But I can assure you that I use my Healy Professional. I have a different device that I use it on, a different phone. And I use it on myself, working on the aura or the coaching or the resonance every single day, because my goal, my intention is to be the very best version of myself energetically that I can be for my clients. And so it doesn't matter if I'm doing energy work on my clients, they just want to be in my energy. And just by being around me and talking to me, it raises their vibration. So really important point here, that instead of, I don't know how many coaches we have here in the program, but instead of, if you are a coach, instead of just constantly thinking about how can I get my clients to get better results, think about raising your energy. That's what's going to get them the best results, right? That's what's going to attract you the most clients. You don't have to do anything to attract clients. Make a Facebook post here and there. It's your energy that calls people to you, 100%. Okay, so let's go back to look at the scale so it's more clear. So David Hawkins had that scale, and back in the day, Esther Hicks Abraham from the Abraham teachings, they had an emotional scale as well. And so this is one that I just came up with, and I think it's a good combination between Abraham and David Hawkins, and it gets the point across. So I want you to think about, not for a long time because we don't want to hold the energy of something negative, but I want you to think about a time in your life when things were not the greatest, just for a second. Just pick one thing and just for a second. Okay, now put it out of your mind. We don't need to worry about that. That would be a 1. That's something you don't ever want to do again. Forget it. That's a 1. Now, with a little more enthusiasm, think about one of the best things that ever happened to you. Maybe when you got married, when you had a baby, right? When you started your business, just a time when it was just like, that's your 7. So you have your 1 and you have your 7. Now, what we want to do on a daily basis is always be in the 5, 6, 7. That's where we want our energy to be. Because when we are in the 1, 2, 3, we are mismanifesting. The 1, 2, 3 is out of alignment. If you have this big vision for yourself, no matter how badly you want it, no matter how many ads you're putting on Facebook or whatever you're doing, you're not gonna have the results. But if you can live in the 5, 6, 7, 80% of the time, doesn't even have to be 100% of the time. 80% of the time, if you can live in 5, 6, 7, life just becomes effortless. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, my grandkids were here last weekend and I caught myself a couple times going, you guys settle down. But see, I'm aware, and you have to be aware. I'm aware that the minute that energy changed, because I felt stress, you know, I'm not used to, I'm a very introverted, believe it or not, introverted person. And I like my alone time. So when I have like 48 hours with these two busy little children and my grandson, bless his heart, he's 7.5 and he's definitely on the spectrum. So he's a very busy boy, you know, and the two of them fighting, I caught myself and I just had to take a moment. And when I say take a moment, I mean, get back in my body. Because when I'm back in my body, when I'm aware, when I'm focused, then I'm in charge. I'm the boss of how I feel. I'm in charge of how I respond. So I think one of our biggest life lessons is learning to not react, to catch ourselves before we react, and then make a heartfelt choice on how we want to respond. And here's another thing, and if you're a mom or a grandma, you'll get this. If I would have reacted to the children in that moment of too much, in a way that was in a 3, 2, 1, they would have just gone off. I mean, I'm guessing they would have just gotten way worse. And it would have just been this, ah. But because I was able to get back in my body and say, okay, breathe, then I could say, hey, you guys, who wants to go outside and play? Yeah, me. And just like that, the energy shifted. And the reason I share this story with you is because I want to emphasize how important it is for each of us to take responsibility for the way that we feel on a daily basis, to take radical responsibility for how we respond to the events outside of us that maybe make us feel inside. Because if we get that feeling, that means there's work to do. That's all it means. Doesn't mean I have bad grandkids. Doesn't mean I can't handle babysitting my babies. It just means that I almost reacted and that I need to heal, release, or whatever it has to do. You don't have to dig into it and say, oh, I need therapy for this today. I just had to get back in my body. Okay, any questions on that? That was kind of a lot. No, doing good? All right, doing well, I should say. All right, this picture right here, excuse me, this is one I've used. I've taught throughout, you know, I used to teach at yoga studios all over Sacramento. I used to go to yoga studios and teach meta creation and intention workshops. And I always brought this big poster board with these two brains on there. Because it's evidence, right? And our logical brain, we want evidence. We want to see proof. And so this is an actual factual before and after of 10 minutes on meditation, just 10 minutes. And this isn't even meta creation, right? This isn't anything special. It's not with binaural beats or anything. It's just meditation. And meditation is tricky and hard, and a lot of people can't do it. And that's why I designed meta creation, which I'll tell you about in a bit. Anyway, this is the difference in our brain. And if you see the before picture, that's where all the stress is. The red is all the stress, and the yellow. That's all the stress, and it's the activity. But when we relax and we can get ourselves to the alpha theta brainwave patterns, we get whole brain thinking. And this is why I'm a huge fan of binaural beats. I always use binaural beats. In fact, we will use binaural beats next week in our harmony circle. So binaural beats help synchronize both sides of your brain. And I'll explain later or tomorrow or next week, I'll explain how it does that. But for right now, just understand it promotes whole brain thinking. When we're whole brain thinkers, now we're whole human. Now we're heart and mind. We're not just mind, brain, right? It also, in this relaxed brain state, it also helps reduce stress, as well as opens the gateway to the subconscious. And that's really what we want to do. We want to open that gateway when we meditate. Okay, so now we're going to talk about intentions. Let me check my time here. Okay, we're doing okay. We're going to talk about intentions. Intentions, a lot of people don't know what they want in life. And this, I find this all the time. I'm like, if you could have anything, and you know what people say? Millions of dollars. I say, okay, and then what are you going to do? They're like, I don't know, travel, shop. No, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to do that maybe for a while. But if you had all the money you wanted, if you thought that's all you needed was money, and a lot of people do, and they're wrong, but that's okay. But if you had all the money and you did all the traveling and you bought your friends and loved ones things, now what are you going to do? And it really makes people think, because at the end of the day, we are not put on this planet to lounge around on a beach, right? To go to Nordy's and buy clothes. That is not what we're here on this planet for. In fact, most everyone will realize, if they think about it, that we're here to help one another, to serve one another, to express whatever our creativity is. For one person, it could be being a CPA. For another person, it could be doing energy medicine. For another person, it could be opening a bakery. If you have a desire in your heart, I believe you came to this planet. Your soul came into your body, into this planet, with plans to carry that out. And you are 100% capable of living that. 100% capable, because if you wouldn't have the desire, if you didn't have the desire, if you had the desire, then you were meant to do it. So that aside, when we have an intention, what I see people do mistakenly is they think that they want something they don't. They think that they want to be a lawyer because that's what their dad said they should be. Or they think that they want to be rich because that's what we have to do in this world. But if you really focus on what you want, and I'll encourage you, especially, and Robin, maybe you can help remember this for people for next week. If you're going to come to the Harmony call, make sure you come with what your real intention is. I don't care how big it is, nothing's too big. If you super, super desire it with your heart, nothing's too big. But we have to know what we want. And the reason why is because if our heart's not involved in it, we don't have the magnetism to draw it to us, right? If we've got something in our soul and we clear the pathways, clear the decks for it, and we really want it, it's going to come to us. I believe that 100%. But we have to do the work, right? So here is an example of one of my experiments that I did at the end of 2021. All I did, and this was, kind of following, I do different experiments. I have a microscope, guilty, but I like to do water experiments and seedling experiments and, all sorts of little fun experiments. And Dr. Emoto, the water person, I'm sure you guys have read him, the Messages of Water. This is not that. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this was I wanted to just test 30 seconds of intention and love versus not. So number B here, or letter B, is the control group. I didn't send, like Dr. Emoto would say, send hate and you're ugly. And I didn't do any of that. I did not talk bad. I did not talk smack to that plant at all. But I had A on this side of the windowsill and I had B on this side. There were just 4 little seedlings. And all I did was every day, they got the same water, same sunlight. All I did is every day for 30 seconds, I looked at A, closed my eyes, and sent love. I love you. I love you. I love you. That's all I did. I might have thought, grow, 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 but that was it. I didn't not water B. I didn't send hate mail to B, right? I didn't do anything to B. I just took care of it the same way otherwise. And this is how it turned out. And this, to me, this is staggering to me because look, one on B, one of the little soldiers dropped. Didn't even make it. And look at the difference. And that's 30 seconds a day. So I want you to think about what holding a powerful intention that's in your heart, right? Because who really cares about plants? It's not that big of a deal. But if this is your baby, as in your business, or one of your children, or a pet, that's sick, perhaps, you've got a lot of love in your heart. And so imagine if instead of 30 seconds, you spent 30 minutes, right? This is so important and profound for us to recognize. This is the power of our mind. And I learned my intention work, I really learned it from Dr. William Tiller. and we don't have time to get into it today, but I talk about him in some of my books. But he was the granddaddy of intention, the science of intention. I mean, big labs, double-blind studies, and really, really what I teach is very similar. Or I should say, I formed a lot of my teachings based on what he did, but making it more user-friendly. And for people, I really work with women in business, but it's kind of the same idea. He worked with fruit flies, so there's not a big market for fruit flies right now. Okay, imagination. I have another book called Imagine That. And it's actually one of my books that has gotten the best reviews. And it's really funny because I didn't think it was that great. But it's just if you like conversational style, it's a very conversational style book, kind of sassy and fun and spiritual and science, but it's a very easy read. And I would recommend, if you're going to start with one of my books, start with Imagine That. I will say I'm not up here trying to pimp out my books. All of them are free on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, not a penny. I do that on purpose because I can't work with everyone, right? And I want to make sure that I can share as much of my knowledge, like Robin so beautifully does in this group, right? She just does this so people can share their knowledge and help other people, which is a beautiful thing, and which is why I'm here, because I am a big, big proponent of that. But your imagination is your greatest gift. I 100% believe. And here's something that you probably have never thought of. Well, the first two things. The first thing is, do you know that we are the only creatures on the planet who have an imagination? Dogs don't have an imagination. Lions don't think, what'll I wear to dinner tonight? Only humans do. So there's a hint right there, how important it is. Secondly, I talked before about our unconsciousness. And what I want you to realize is that, let's say you're worried about a big tax bill. The thought comes in your mind. And even if you don't realize it, the next thing you know, you're seeing an image of you being, in trouble or running out of money. And it happens so rapidly, we don't even realize it. But that's when we're mismanifesting, because we're using our imagination for the wrong reason. So what I want to try to get people to do, one of my lifelong ambitions, is to try to get people to use their imagination in ways that are positive. And that's why we work on meta-creation. Okay, excuse me. Meta-creation, what is it? It's a combination of meditation, visualization, and hypnosis, self-hypnosis, with emotion. And that is the most distinguishing factor, with emotion. And of course, like I said, I use sound science. When I take you through our meta-creation next Wednesday, I have sound healing, I have binaural beats. So I'll have all of this implemented, of course, with Reiki and Healy. Healy will be going at us as well. So it's really an experience that you might think of as guided meditation, only it's active. You have to be active in it. And when you're active, and I say, okay, now think about it. How does it feel? Get excited. I want you to understand how important that is. And here's an example. Look at the coherence of your heart rate versus stress, right? Like I said, the Himalayan mountains versus the rolling hills of Ireland. When we can get our heart like that, our hearts are so magnetic that we are dealing with the quantum field. We're no longer just our physical bodies. We have Elvis has left the building. We are not in the 3D when we can get our heart and our brain at this reduced level, this beautiful, coherent level, and we're thinking about something we want, because here, this slide kind of says what I was going to say. The heart 100,000 times stronger electricity wise and 5,000 times stronger magnetically. So when you are feeling, and you don't have to have your eyes closed for this, you can do this today. You don't have to wait till next week, right? When you are feeling the love and the joy and the gratitude about something you want, and you're seeing an image in your mind of the outcome you want, you are connecting to the quantum field. That is what we call fourth dimensional living. The universe operates in its own language, and it is emotions and images. If you get nothing else out of all this rambling on I've been doing today, let it be that. The universe operates in a language of emotions and images. So if you are feeding it emotions and thinking about what you want, that's what happens. Unfortunately, most of us are worrying So if we're worried, brain waves are like this, stress is like that. That's not the emotion we want. And we're imagining the worst. That's not the image we want. And then we wonder, why did that happen? Or we say, I knew that was going to happen, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. So again, this is just kind of a last thing here, last slide. Meta creation is mental rehearsal. We relax our body and our brain. We see the image of our ideal outcome, and I'll lead you all through this next week. Then we feel the excitement and the gratitude, and then we become the person who has it. And so what I mean by that is we live in alignment to it. We maintain our ability to be an energetic match to it all the time. Easy when we're in bed, easy when we're at home. Go out into the world, start talking to people on, your Zoom meetings and whatnot. It's not so easy to stay in alignment. So this is why awareness, in my book, awareness is the most important skill for manifestation. Because if you're not aware of when you're being triggered, then you can't release and heal it. And I don't know, I'm assuming that everyone here has a Healy. I don't know that for sure. And Robin can correct me if I'm wrong. But if you do, I will tell you, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on, if you could see my office right now, you would just roll your eyes. I've got Spooky and AO scanners and 2 big radionics machines. I have all these things I use. I love them all, but Healy is my daily go-to. Healy is the one that I use on myself and on my clients the most. And it's because not just the science, because I like proof, not just because of the science, but because I believe intuitively. I also believe that it is one of the most profound healing devices we have of our time. Anything that can read the energy field as effectively as it can, and I've tested it. I've tested it against other devices. I've tested it. I'm a big dowser. I use pendulums, and Healy is, in my experience, Healy's the most effective at reading a person's energy. And so when I want to calibrate, see where someone's at, and then I want to raise it, I use Healy a lot. So don't think that the Healy, even if it's subtle, and you may not feel it because it's subtle, don't think it's not working, because it is. Energy is all around us. I use my tuning forks and I can change an energy field around. So why not just push a button, right? Pretty easy, kind of a no-brainer if you ask me. Okay, last thing, embodiment. What is embodiment? Embodiment means that every day when we get up, we should say to ourselves, who is that person that I want to be? What does she have? What is she eating today? What is she thinking today? What would she say if that just happened to her? We keep in the back of our minds this embodiment of who we want to be. Because if we were already being the person who had all the things that we wanted, we would have them. The universe works that way. There's no mistakes in the universe. Everything is absolute and orderly. So in order to have the things we want, we have to embody the energy, be an energetic match to the person who would already have them. And so, I usually have people write down, what are the traits of the people that you like most? What are the traits of, maybe you chose Oprah Winfrey as your role model. What are her traits? What does she do? How does she act? How does she walk? Put yourself in that position of being that person already. And, I tell you, the sidewalk will unfold before you. Okay, that is all I have. I'm going to stop sharing. And if anyone has questions, everyone's gone dark. Is that your baby on you, Robin?
Yes, this is one of them. The other one is laying on the couch next to me as well.
Oh,
they're learning alongside me.
Sweet baby, sweet baby. So does anyone, hi Donna. Does anyone have any questions? Was that educational, enjoyable? Make sense?
I have to just share on the recording that, so much of what you shared, I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on going to healers who have taught me these things that Tamara has just so generously shared in such a powerful way, that you just combined like a year's worth of deep diving healing that I just did last year. You kind of just gave a summary of it. And I think that's really powerful. for those who are here with us today and who will watch this recording and who will come to the Meta Creation Harmonization Circle next week, well, we'll put this all into action. That I truly think that this is an enormous gift that you're giving us. And I hope that so many of you will receive this from her, because holy moly, Tamara, you just have so much wisdom.
Thank you. That means a lot. I'm so honored.
Love it. The way you share it is so easily digestible, and in such a compact thing. I cannot recommend reading her books more. And the fact that you just said they're on Kindle Unlimited, I'm like, oh man, here I go.
You can't be free, right?
Well, I just, I can't put her book down since I started reading.
Remind me, did I send you, is it the blue one?
Yeah, the blue one with the Taurus on the back.
Oh, yeah. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. Yeah, that was my most recent one.
Oh my goodness. It's just amazing the way that
Thank you.
I've had to read 1,000 books that say all of what you're able to put in this beautiful way. And so
oh, thank you. That really means a lot to me. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll let Kimberly talk because I know she's got herself unmuted and see her beautiful face.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hello. I didn't realize I unmuted myself. You can hear me, right? I just wanted to show my face. No, I wanted to chime in. Like, I got so many golden nuggets from, oh geez, just one second here. How do I do this?
She must have been getting a call. I'm sure she'll pop back on here.
Sure. I'm just reading the chat. So kind. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So everyone here has Healy. Is that right?
I think so. I'm not sure if Jenna does. It is an open call, so there are people who are invited who may not have Heelys, but that was a really, honestly, a beautiful explanation for those who might not have a Healy to understand
the importance of calling Robin up and saying, I need a Healy.
But just how much more powerful it is as a tool that you're wielding for yourself, and not just one that you like go to a practitioner to use.
Yeah.
But then in that same breath, how much it supports practitioners to clear their energy and be that strong channeling vessel for your clients. Like, I just love that you said that, because it really collapses timelines for the practitioners. You don't have to do as much work to clear and ground your energy. The Healy can help you with that. Right. So you have a larger capacity to show up and help your clients. And I just love that you shared that.
Thank you. Well, and Robin, I know what you do. And I'm sure a lot of healers come to you, and you know this. There's so many healers out there that we worry about healing everyone else. And at the end of the day, that we're out of energy, right? And so I look at it like I could spend 30 minutes doing a Reiki session on someone, which I don't even do anymore. I use the Healy. I let why do I want to take out of my energy when I can use the Healy and I can cover so many more people? But yes, absolutely, practitioners should be taking care of themselves. Oh, there's Kimberly. Did you have something you want to say, Kimberly? I think we lost you.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Thank you. I just wanted to say, things that you said today validated many, many experiences that I've had. And I've been on this really long journey. And I feel like when I was younger, I had all this information that you're speaking of now, and I had nowhere to tap into it. I was young, I didn't have a support system or anything. And then, in my 20s, 30s, life kind of got to me. And now here I am reconnected with so many light workers, like everything that I've always wanted to be a part of. But you hit some points, some really deep points, like embodiment was like something that I actually used when I was like 19 to 18 years old. I was overweight, all these different things. And I had such a spiritual relationship. And I just kind of embodied what I wanted to be and became that. And it was so incredible. And I've been trying to figure out what that piece was. Like, I've been missing that piece, and you just gave it to me. So I am so grateful.
That's so good. Well, you had it. I just reminded you.
Yes. But you put a name, you put a physical name to a puzzle piece. So that was awesome. But yes, I agree with Robin. Everything that you said was very easily digestible and very generous with your knowledge, because that is a lot of wisdom. And
Thank you. That means a lot.
I'm brand new to Healy, so I've only had it for like 2 weeks, and it's already making a huge difference in my life. And I cannot wait to go change,
Well,
help
I will
others.
tell you, I have a couple of friends who, when I first signed up and got it, and I was lucky enough to be introduced to Robin, and what she does with the Frequency Mamas, these other friends I have that are just with different, I mean, they don't get any of that. And I'm like, you guys, I told you, you should have signed up with this person I'm under, because what she does is like incredible. So if anyone ever would want to get a Healy, I would definitely say, go to Robin, because she's doing, look what she's doing. She does all this and she doesn't have to, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Robin. That's beautiful. Yeah. My friend Amy, who I signed up with, she was telling me that, about this group is like unlike any other. So I am so blessed and grateful to be here. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
Absolutely. Thank you too.
I love that. I am so full of gratitude that you both are here, and all of the others that have found their way to this space. Like you said earlier, Kimberly, I have longed for a community like this, where I'm connected to other like-hearted souls. I never would have imagined it would come through a network marketing company ever. But I don't care. Like, I let the universe figure out the how, and I held that intention for the longest time about, like, I need my people in the world. I don't want to just be surrounded by a bunch of different people who don't resonate on that same heart frequency. And here you guys all are, brought through this powerful, amazing tool that we can all use to help ourselves and then help so many others. So I'm so grateful. This space wouldn't be what it is if you all were not here. I'm just so thankful for all of you who are here, and for all of you who have stepped in, saying yes to doing these knowledge shares and harmonization circles, so we can see everyone's light and learn from each other. It's so powerful. Now that we're all here, right now, we need to like engage and learn and absorb from each other as well. All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any other questions for Tamara, we will round this out. And one last thing, if you'll share, Tamara, where people can find you, where they can connect with you.
You bet. So my website is tamaradoris.com. And I'm on Facebook all the time, just under Tamara Dorris, DORRIS.
Amazing. And I'll have those linked in the show notes for you guys on this recording as well. So if you didn't catch those, don't worry. I'll have that up in just a couple of hours once this recording uploads. All right, guys, thank you so much, and look forward to having you guys back, and any of you watching the recording, for next week's harmonization circle with Tamara to do our meta creation, the actual work.
And I'll just say, if you're going to be here or listen to the recording, have earbuds or headphones for the most effectiveness, and have your ideal outcome, and don't be afraid to think of something really big, something that is near and dear to your heart.
Amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.